It's a pretty known problem. It happens on all of them, but with these LS engines with the factor manifolds, especially the early ones, they tend to break exhaust manifold bolts all the time, and header bolts, whatever you want to call them, but all the exhaust bolts, all of these break all of the time. And so you got to remove them. Makes it a lot easier if the motor's not in chassis. You can do them in chassis, people normally do. This one had one broken on the front side and one broken on the back side. If you want, plug so you don't get any spatter on the valves, so it doesn't cut up the valves, stem seals, seats, the stems themselves, whatever, and leave spark plugs in, but I have already taken them out. I know I'm going to pull these heads before I'm actually running this motor, but before I drop it in the chassis, I'm just going to weld these things up. So what I end up doing, like this one's broke flush. I'm grounded here. This is actual ground. I have no computer on this. You can plug. If there's an intake on it, good. Pay attention if there's flammables, gasoline, oil, stuff like that, because it can combust really easy. Luckily, I don't have any fuel lines on this, don't have an intake. This is empty. Oil's empty on this motor, so I'm not too worried about that. But since it's flush, you gotta turn the welder on, yeah? I forgot to shut it off. So, since it's flush, I gotta build it out and then I can try to weld the nut on, and most likely this nut is gonna break off just because the proper weld on it is not correct, so I will build this one up. And unfortunately, some people will try just to spray these and get penetrating fluid in them. It will quench the bolt too fast, so it can cause it to break. So the best thing to do is to use a candle or a crayon, because the wax will actually pull it in. Or if you don't want to do that, just pull it off when it's hot. But be wise and wary. It is going to be very hot. So if it goes to drop, don't catch it with a bare hand. Wear a glove, or best bet, use a pair of pliers. Keep your fingers and anything flammable away from these, because even though it's not red hot anymore, this thing is going to be super hot and it'll burn you within an instant. There you go. So I built it up, still really hot, so I built it up so I could actually get a weld berry. So I got lucky, it didn't break off. And then I'll just go through with a little bit of Scotch-Brite, clean that head surface because it is aluminum. I don't need to sand this down because it'll just doesn't need to. And if you really want to, go through with a thread chaser, or you can take an old exhaust manifold bolt and cut a cut-off wheel and cut a groove, a couple of them in there, and makes a thread chaser instead of a cutter, like a tap. Because if you use a tap, it can cut new threads, or it can overcut these threads to make them too loose. So if you take a bolt and cut it straight and take a thread file, just clean up the thread so it's smooth, you could actually run it through and it'll chase the threads out, and you can get all the gunk, or if there was a Loctite or anything in that on it, it'll clean the threads out, so it's a lot easier to put the bolts in. And then when you put them in, even if you use new ones, I found is really nice. If you use a dab of anti-seize on these bolts, and they'll go in like butter, and you're not fighting them the whole time. Because if you don't, they have a chance to grab and seize. But if you use a little bit of anti-seize, they will go in, and it's easier to pull them out if you're working on a motor all the time. So like this being turbo headers, it's just serviceability, and you'll thank yourself in the future.